Alright guys, Kremp again today. Hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far with the World Championship finally here. Scump has given some predictions for the Call of Duty World Championship for the first round of the tournament, how OpTic versus FaZe could potentially feed into the rest of the tournament, and who is going to win the entire thing based on the evidence that he has seen so far this season. Who's the dark horse, who are going to be the eventual champions, who's going to be the MVP. Very much enjoy your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoy, subscribe if you're new as always. I would greatly appreciate it. Plenty to start with. This is one of the things, the Scuff Game and Team of the Year. So effectively the all-star teams will be unveiled on Thursday, the first day of the World Championship. Last year, of course, notably, Gwinn was given the Rookie of the Year. Presumably, they're going to do that at around a similar time this year. I'm sure that's likely going to be Rencor. Now, who are going to be the first and the second teams? I think the first team is very clear. If you're going to do it 2 ARs, 2 SMGs, which likely is what they're going to do, it's going to be Scrap, it's going to be HyDra, it's going to be Cell and Simp. It's got to be, right? I can't really see another way to do it. I think that's got to be the top 4. 5th through 8th gets very interesting. To me, the next 2 best SMGs, well, there's some debate on this. I think you can take JoeDeceives as one of them. It depends what you're valuing exactly here, because you might say it's aBeZy and Envoy, right? You simply take the next 2 players on the Thieves and FaZe. Maybe justified. Could you also take JoeDeceives or Neptune? I think those are another 2 potential candidates as well that you could take here. I'm not sure I could really justify anyone else. Some people will like to find an OpTic player in there that they could put in. I'm not sure Huke has done enough. I don't think Shotzzy's quite done enough for sure this season overall. We can't forget that horrific stint in the middle of the year. Huke maybe is not far away from the conversation, but I do think that JoeDeceives, Neptune, have probably been stronger this year. So, I would maybe put Joe in there, and then, I really want to put Envoy. I really do think I want to find a place on the second team for Envoy. Feel like it's, a little bit unfair otherwise. So I might go Joe and Envoy, but again, it feels a bit harsh on Neptune because, made a couple of grand finals. So maybe you don't put Joe in, but I just think Joe's been really good, even though Toronto haven't been the best. They've not made finals like Neptune did, but they made a couple of top 3s. So I think there's a debate on that. Intrigued to your thoughts in the comments below. Then you've got on the AR side, who else are you putting in there? Because after Scrap and Cellium, I think Drazah, it might just have to be Drazah and Ghosty. Honestly, given the way that the season's gone, maybe that is just how it is. You could put Rencor in there too. I think that's maybe the other name that I would keep in mind. But yeah, realistically, these 8 spots, probably 6 of them at least are going to be filled by FaZe and Thieves players. And then maybe the other 2, you could throw somebody else in. But yeah, intrigued to your thoughts in the comments. To me, as I say, you're pretty much looking at FaZe's roster, Thieves' roster in some order, and then you might throw in Joe, you might throw in Neptune, you might throw in Rencor, maybe a couple of others, depending on your perspective in the comment section. Right, that's my thoughts. Intrigued to your thoughts as ever. Scump and Hex, they're going to be at Champs. They're going to be there Saturday. I think they talked about this, so they're going to do their watch party from downtown Toronto, or wherever they're going to be in Toronto. That's where they're going to run things. And they're going to drive up there to Kitchener for the meet and greet, 1:30 to 2:30, and then they'll be back in the car back to Toronto, I guess. That's the plan anyway, to make sure that the watch party can run as planned for the start of that one. And speaking of the World Championship, this past weekend's was a big one for esports. On the Sunday, the Valorant Masters Championship in Toronto concluded. Maybe take some notes or something, I don't know. PaperX versus Fnatic, 1.1 million peak viewers. Now, these numbers are always kind of cheese just because you've got Chinese viewership and stuff like this, which is difficult to kind of quantify, and from various other regions too. For example, in Mongolia, I showed you guys the images of the Mongols. There was tens of thousands of people watching on a big screen in the heart of the capital city, and that was not the only example of that at all. Those people aren't counted in the peak viewership, right? They're watching one stream, you know what I mean? So, it's always difficult to say. And when you consider Chinese viewership and stuff as well, these numbers always go up by varying amounts. I mean, it's possible that there were 10 million people watching Valorant Masters in China. That honestly would be possible, but we don't really know what the numbers are. Could be similar for the Counter-Strike Major as well. So anyway, CS got 1.8 million peak viewers. Valorant was 1.1. COD Champs, where are we going to go, right? 2 million, 2.5, what do we think we can do? So I think it's going to put things a little bit into perspective this upcoming weekend. But, excited to see what we could do. I guess the positive is at least we didn't clash with those other tournaments. It probably wouldn't have been the greatest idea if COD clashed with the CS Major on that particular weekend. Look, should I think COD Champs have been a couple of weeks ago? I don't know. I mean, I'd like it to be around about now. I would just like the season to have finished later and had more tournaments. But I think my point is I would like to have a 2-week break between the final tournament of the year and the World Championship rather than a 4-week break, which has created some problems. Paul X has moved over to Warzone. He's been putting in the work. He says I've improved so much in Warzone in such a short amount of time. Can't wait to get a full season under my belt. So it seems like he's committing to that. It was a little bit unclear what Paul was going to do. Was he going to stay in COD? Was he on competitive COD, CDLs type stuff? Or was he going to go to play Warzone competitively? That seems like what he's going to do. There was also this on Falcons. They're not going to be at Champs. They're going to be at the World Cup. What roster they're going to take is a bit of a question mark. We know that Arcetes, Priester are there, but maybe for the World Cup they will want to field as most competitive roster as they can, and if somebody might be available after the World Championship, they might well get the checkbook out. We shall see. Clayster says, though, my team plays with their mix amp and headset so loud that at least a dozen times a day there's a feedback loop that creates a loud ringing sound in all of our ears. At least you know they're putting it all on the line for the dove, he says. So, you know, Clay's not very happy about that. We get Arcetes, who says, okay, we're sounding GGs, and he has a quick look at the mix amp settings. I mean, look at that. He's turned up to the absolute maximum, which, you know, there's a reason, I guess, why it's got the red line on it, because it's going to blow your eardrums out. And as Clayster says, Soud and AG, so Xnid and Pred, the diabolical deaf duo. Now, this is a Pred thing, and I don't really know why, like, you know, he does this, but this is a Pred thing to turn the headset absolutely up to the max. And I don't know what sort of implications that's going to have in the medium to longer term, but Clay is trying to tell his boys, like, look, we don't need to be doing this, guys. It's okay, right? Simp doesn't do it like this, neither do you, type thing. I don't know. But Clay says this guy Xnid has everyone in TeamSpeak plus 20 decibels as well. So not only has he got his headset cranked up to the max, but then he's got plus 20 decibels on in TeamSpeak and thinks it isn't a problem. Please, someone help me convince him. Everyone's clipping and he says it's fine because everything's just so loud. Xnid's like my coach, and TeamSpeak says, yeah, there could be issues with that one, Sunshine. So yeah, I don't know. I'm just kind of worried about these guys if they keep on doing this. But yeah, Xnid and Pred, the diabolical deaf duo is what Clayster's talking about, and yeah, I don't know how long they can keep this up, but the headsets are cranked up to the maximum, the TeamSpeak with the players is cranked up to the maximum, and well, the hearing doctor's salary is going to be cranked up to the maximum when these guys come visiting in a couple of years' time. Now, this is the World Championship bracket. It's not actually the bracket, it's the first round set of games, although it is pretty much the bracket because Thieves, Boston, Surge, Heretics, they play each other in the second round. Ultra, Ravens, FaZe, or OpTic, they play each other in the second round as well. So effectively, this is the bracket, and then it will run to the right-hand side of the screen until the rest of the tournament. So Thieves, Heretics, a rematch in the second round, absolutely on the cards. Ultra are presumably the favourites against the Ravens. Well, they are the favourites, right? Presumably they're going to beat them. But of course, you've got the situation where we've had 4 weeks to prepare. Usually there's a couple of weeks to prepare for the World Championship, which is a big deal. But there's literally been a month for these teams to prepare for one specific series. Now, Boston will not have scrimmed Thieves for a month. There's, you know, they won't have practiced against one another because they're playing each other in the first round. So it's plausible that Thieves have some new ideas, they have some new way of playing, and Boston's month-long preparation won't be so valid. But it's still going to be helpful, because if you're Thieves, you're going into this tournament, who are you preparing for? Are you preparing for Boston, or are you preparing for FaZe? You're preparing for FaZe, and it's the same with FaZe as well, you would imagine. Does that leave Thieves slightly vulnerable? I think so. A little bit. I don't expect a repeat of Major 2. I think because Major 2 happened and Boston upset Thieves in the first round, Thieves are going to lock in, they're going to take it very seriously, they're not going to allow that to happen again. Like, if I'm Thieves, if I'm their coach anyway, I'm making sure you take this series very seriously, because Boston, I don't know what they've done over the last month, but I wouldn't be surprised if they have been one of the most grinding teams, let's say. Not like they've necessarily got the talent or the team or whatever to really do some damage, but I think they will have at least put in a shift. That's just my general feeling. But the first round games, Heretics are going to be the favourites against Surge, but that really could go either way. Thieves should beat Boston, but as I say, it could be a little bit interesting. Ultra versus Ravens, again, they played each other right in the most recent major. Toronto, I think, won in 5, but it was pretty competitive. And who knows, right, what Ravens you're going to get at Champs. It is LAN, it's Champs. Slash will optimistic that he can turn up. Toronto have definitely been putting in the work after a disappointing season for them. So I think Toronto will win. And then that final series, that's really the banger of the day. FaZe have had OpTic's number. So on paper, you might say, oh, it's easy. FaZe get the job done. I'm not sure it's going to be that clear cut. The OpTic guys say, look, it's not going to be easy, but if it happens, then we can start talking.
Yeah,
but Champs is going to be fucking lit, man. We're here.
We play FaZe round 1, which is... I've been talking about this on stream. It's like there's no better spot to play FaZe round 1 than before they get hot. And if we go out there swinging and win that round 1, you know what, I'm going to stop talking. I don't want to jinx anything.
Yeah. Dude, Champs is 3 wins and you're in the grand final.
Which is
very, very
crazy.
doable. Very doable. People were asking me, like, how do you think the boys are going to play? I mean, they come out, they win that first match.
Rolling.
Yeah. I mean, you beat FaZe round 1 at Champs, you're like, all right, we have a fucking chance.
Wait, should we do our pick'ems? Should we do a podcast pick'ems pre-Champs?
I'm down. I mean,
I don't know.
We could go through winner's bracket at least.
Yeah, so winners
round
bracket.
1.
Yeah.
I feel like it's kind of... I mean, Thieves are going to beat Breach, I'm pretty confident in.
Yep. That's an easy one.
Surge Heretics is...
Tough one.
Right now, you would say Miami.
Heretics,
but if
for
Vancouver play like Vancouver, they went back-to-back second place. They placed last at DreamHack.
Wow, that's actually a good point.
Like Vancouver, despite...
Vancouver
has been a top 2 team all year, despite that last major.
Yeah.
So it's like, what Vancouver is going to show up? Are they going to continue to fall off the cliff, or are they going to get right back to business and play like they were prior? Because if they play like the Surge before DreamHack, then I think Surge beat Miami, if I'm being honest.
I agree.
Get him on the desk. What an analysis over there by the young man. He's unbelievable.
But it's, they're questionable.
All right, so what
you're putting faith in, did they fix up their issues?
Yeah, I'm going Surge.
The Cougars?
Surge?
I'm going Surge.
I'd probably go Surge too.
I'm going with the Cougars, dude.
Really?
Yeah, I'm going with the Cougars,
Just based off the entire season, I'd probably go Surge.
Should we skip FaZe OpTic, or should we?
No, we know who's taking that. So
right,
let's go to Ultra Ravens.
Let's go OpTic.
Ultra.
Ravens.
Really?
Uh-huh.
You think that would be an upset?
That'd be a big upset.
Listen, TJHaLy, you cannot put him away.
The Iceman.
The Iceman's going to not be put away.
And then I think Thieves goes to winners finals. I think they beat Surge.
Right now, if I had to pick a favorite going in, it'd be Thieves. They're back-to-back.
Like to win the tournament?
Yeah, they're back-to-back.
You have to be the favorite, yeah.
Yeah, they look insane. You'd have to pick Thieves. If I was picking who do you think's going to win, I think Thieves. Right now.
I hope not.
Yeah, we hope not, but based off of what's been going on.
What do you think, Dalton?
I'm thinking Thieves.
Thinking Thieves?
I'm thinking Thieves.
Damn.
It's going to be a great weekend, though, man. It's Champs time.
Who are you thinking?
An OpTic, man. I'm thinking OpTic.
Thank you, me too.
I'm hoping OpTic.
And the bracket potentially plays out really nicely for OpTic in that sense. Obviously, that's a massively important series. And OpTic played the whole season. They finished as the 7th seed. And their reward, as it were, is to play FaZe in the first round. Not easy, but as I say, if you're Boston... If you want to play Thieves ever, you probably want to play them round 1. And I think if you're OpTic, if you want to play FaZe, you probably want to play them round 1 because it's the good chance, to beat them coming out of the tournament hot. If you can get your search and destroy right, at the end of the day, it's a best of 5, right? So absolutely possible to beat them. Beat them in a best of 9. That's a bit of a different challenge. But I will say that in a best of 9, there are 4 search and destroys. 4 searches, 3 hardpoints, 2 controls. That's how a best of 9 is run. And, those search and destroys, when we get to the grand finals, are going to be mega. And that's the most important mode when it comes to the grand finals. It was FaZe back at Major 1 that effectively beat Thieves on the back of their search. It was Thieves at Major 4 that effectively beat FaZe on the back of their search. So the World Championship's going to be critical for that. Do I agree, though, with Scump's perspective that Thieves are the team to look for this tournament? Yeah, I said it since the start of the season that I think Thieves were going to win this year's World Championship. I said before the start of the season they were going to dethrone FaZe as the #1 team in the regular standings. The first part of that happened. Winning champs is a different question. The fact that they won the last 2 tournaments in a row and they're trying to complete the 3-peat. I mean, we've seen it already happen, the 3-peat as it were, with FaZe winning EWC last year and then Major 1, Major 2 this year. You might consider it a 3-peat, you might not because it's over 2 different games. Whatever, they won 3 major tournaments in a row. Got to respect it, doesn't happen often. But Thieves have the chance to do that again right here for the World Championship. And then I'm sure they're always going to be thinking about going one better and try to win the World Cup as well out there in Riyadh. So we'll see how time goes. But I do agree with the OpTic guys that to me, Thieves are the favourites. They've won the last couple of tournaments. they were the best team, I think, by a margin at the most recent event. I don't think that team, has the capabilities to really get much better. Like, I don't see a change that improves Thieves right now from top to bottom. And I also think that HyDra and Scrappy are the two best players in the game. So, and as good as Simp and Cellium and the rest of those guys are, it's very difficult to beat that. I think if FaZe are going to win this tournament, it's going to be on the back of Search and Destroy. I think if anyone else is going to win this tournament, it's going to be on the back of Search and Destroy. Thieves and the respawns are just going to be way too deadly from start to finish. And if their Search and Destroy maintains as good as it was back at Major 4, I don't really think they're going to have much competition in this event. We'd very much enjoy your thoughts on all of this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care. And I'll see you next time.